Hello, this is Nigel and Colin with another Encore Years podcast. This is about retirement and learning to love it. So today we've got a fascinating discussion ahead of us, talking to Phil and all the things he's done in his retirement, things he's achieved and things he's working on now. Okay, Phil, thanks first of all very, very much for coming on this and working with us.
Welcome. Nice to be here.
First question, what did you do before retirement?
So I worked for Barclays Bank for a quarter of a century, firstly. And mid-40s, I was one of a large swathe of middle management that got offered a very lucrative redundancy package, which I took with open arms because I wanted to work in the charity sector. And so I left Barclays and I started working as a finance officer for Christian Aid, the development charity. I was there for 7 years. I then worked for another development charity and a refugee charity for about 6 months each. And then I worked, my last 12 years of paid work was working in the grants team at Macmillan Cancer Support.
Okay. Wow, very good. Very, very good. Worthwhile work. And so you've retired from that now, I guess.
Yeah, so I retired 7 years ago.
Okay. And what was the first 6 months of retirement like for you?
So that was, I suppose, a bit discombobulating in a way because I think I might have taken on because I really wanted to volunteer in my retirement and give things back. But my retirement actually coincided with our selling our old house and downsizing to a new house and redeveloping it with the builders in, and the project overran, and I'd started volunteering for a couple of organizations, one of which was the charity I volunteer for now. And so this might be quite unusual. I think I might have taken on a little too much at the beginning of my retirement because I was very much wanted to avoid spending the afternoon in front of daytime TV. Yeah, so that was quite challenging at the start. But I think things quietened down a bit. And my workload, which seemed when I retired to be a heavier one than I'd had at work, has now, in the intervening years, settled down.
So very interesting, Phil. So what would you say is your biggest post-retirement achievement?
I guess that's quite a difficult question.
The stuff you've done with TWAM, or is...
I mean, certainly, really keeping myself occupied, I guess, in a worthwhile way, rather than going to seed, which is something that I very much wanted to avoid, to keep active physically and, mentally as well. And my volunteering for the tool charity that we'll discuss in more detail later is obviously a big part of that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you say physical and mental, just so important. If you only got one of those, then it's not so easy. But
I know you can speak from your personal knowledge there, Colin.
Yes, I mean, for me, with Marianne's with me here,
Yes.
Talked about dementia and so on. So, I'm with you that everyone says you've got to have health, and it's absolutely right. Can I just ask, Phil, do you now feel fulfilled?
Yeah, I do now. Yes. I think if you'd asked me that question a few years ago, I would have said no, but yeah, I definitely do now.
Okay. And can you tell us about, Colin obviously knows about your charity.
It's TWAM, TWAM.
Yeah.
It stands for Tools with a Mission. It's a UK charity which collects unwanted, serviceable tools, sewing machines, computers in the UK, refurbishes them, does them up, and then sorts them into packs by a number of different trades. If I got a collection of tools, some you'd put in the carpenter's pack, some you might put in the plumber's pack, some you might put in the motor mechanics, and then I've got a sewing machine over there, which is for the obviously the dressmaking pack. And we then send them in shipping containers to Africa, and they all go to registered charities in various African countries who use the tools or the sewing machines to train members of the local community in those disciplines. When the students are fully trained, they're given a sewing machine or a full pack of tools for themselves so that they can support themselves long term on a sustainable basis. Well, we're
Yes.
taking unwanted items in the UK and we're using them to help people in some of the poorest countries of the world to help themselves by
Oh,
giving themselves a sustainable trade.
great. I remember one expression you said to me, Phil, where you said, when these people are handed the tools, they say, your family will never go hungry again. Which I
Yeah,
think
and
is,
I mean that's the idea.
Phil, I've actually worked with your organisation in Rotary.
Okay, you may
Do you
well
work
have,
with plenty of
Nigel.
Rotary clubs?
So I'm speaking as a volunteer collector, and I cover the western half of London principally.
Hmm.
And so I can't necessarily speak with authority about what other people in the organization
Yeah.
are doing in terms of, making contacts. But yeah, I'm one of about however many, maybe 50 collectors
Wow, that's a lot.
dotted around the UK.
Yeah.
We just tend to forge our own relationships with people who approach us, for whatever reason. And I guess that's how I've come to know you, Colin, through the Repair Cafe.
Changing the subject slightly, Phil, if your best friend was retiring tomorrow, what
Yeah.
advice would you give them?
I suppose the obvious answer there is don't do what I've done. That's the obvious answer. Or don't do what I originally did.
In summing that up, Phil, so when you say don't do what I've done, was that because you stopped work too early, do you think?
No, I think because I stopped work when I wanted to, but then there was too much going on,
Right.
in the first year or two, which I struggled to cope with, to be quite honest. But I think seriously, the advice is that, look, you might be retiring from the paid workforce and all that, but that doesn't mean that you can't still play an important role in society. And there are so many charitable organizations out there who are desperate for support and help, and anybody retiring today is going to have skills that are much in demand in the voluntary sector. And so please, why don't you use them and help give something back and do some good?
Right. Great. That is just such good advice, because other people have said to me, the amount you get from the voluntary, you give a lot, but you nearly always get far more back.
You do, yeah, you do, and I find it is very satisfying what I do. I get a sense of satisfaction and a sense of achievement from it. And I've got my spreadsheet where I record all the collections I've done. I'm proud of the fact that in the 7 years I've been volunteering for TWAM, I've done 770 collections, or some of them were
Wow.
deliveries from people like you, Colin. But and I hope to get to 1,000 collections before
Wow.
I drop dead.
So
There's
this is
more.
the next target, to get to 1,000.
Yeah, that's right. So, I'm basically doing about 110 a year. And we lost a few months due to the pandemic, of course. But so another 2 years perhaps from now, get there. And in that time, the van from head office comes and picks up what I've picked up every 10 weeks or so. You know, 35 van loads so far.
Oof.
Of I've picked up around West London, van loads of tools and sewing machines, which are transforming lives in Zambia or Uganda, two main countries where we work.
Well,
Uh,
that's an enormous achievement, Phil. In fact,
yeah, I think so.
a lot of people, at our age, who hadn't done any of this stuff, but you 700, 770,
Yeah,
and each of those might help someone's life, transform their
yeah,
life, family, their everything. I
yeah.
think extraordinary achievement, Phil. And what always surprises me is that the really good people don't get the medals. Why not?
Yeah, well, that's yeah. Um, I don't know.
I mean, if anyone
President
deserves recognition,
Orange got the FIFA Peace Prize. Yeah,
yes. Well,
that's the
many
most
congratulations.
ridiculous example of that, isn't it?
It's really an
Yeah,
extraordinary interview.
yeah,
I
no,
feel I've done
no,
nothing. Thank you very much. And
okay.
now, brother, are we done, do you think? I think we are. So, Phil, thank you again.
Thank
That's
you.
been very, very interesting and inspirational. Inspirational.
Yeah, and thanks, guys. Nice to talk to you.
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. All the best.
Thank you. You too. So it's finished from me, and so it's encore and out. Encore and out. Well, Nigel, I really enjoyed talking to Phil, and I'm sorry we couldn't see him, but that's a like tech problem. So
It's a shame.
it is a shame. So what he was talking about, the tools with a mission. I mean, I've known from him and about that for a little bit, and it is extraordinary. Last year they collected 25 container loads of tools and sewing machines and send them to Africa. So that's making an enormous difference to someone's life. So
Yes.
fantastic.
And he always wanted, before that, he worked in the bank, he wanted to give something back.
Yeah.
That's how he put it, with charity work. And so after the bank, he went into charity works before volunteering in retirement.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when you asked him the question about are you fulfilled, and he was saying, yes, I am. But I bet if you'd asked him that question 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought the other interesting thing was, what would you tell your best friend who's about to retire? And he would say that it's very important to volunteer because there are hundreds of charities that desperately need help. And there are an awful lot of people retiring who have the skills to help them, and they should get involved.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree. Completely agree. The skills in demand. Yeah. And that's what he's doing. So therefore he's planned it very well.
And people like him should get a medal.
No, that was a very good point, Nigel. You're absolutely right. He should be on the New Year's list.
They shouldn't be giving Mandelson.
Oh no. We might have to edit that bit out as well.
You might want to keep it.
It might be the best bit of the whole podcast.
Could be.
Should we edit, Nigel?
Well, bro, I think so.
Yeah.
There we go.
So it's encore and out.
Encore and out.